If only we could travel back in time. Whoa, right where we belong. Maybe we'll never need a reason why. Whoa, we're dancing to
Hello everyone, Saber here, and yes, X marks the spot. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are reacting to another episode from Game Theory called FNAF: The New Breed. In the last episode of Game Theory I reacted to, Matt theorized on what the plot of Security Breach is, and who the antagonist is, and what she is all about. And if you guys want to react to that video, the link is right here. Again, in the last video, I really am excited on how this game will change FNAF and how these new gameplay mechanics will go well with these new players. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing this very dashing shirt, well, I'll tell you. Because I can. Anywho, if you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe more for these videos, and make sure to hit that like button. And while you're there, let's get this video at least 10 more likes, and I'll see what I can do for the next video. And if you guys suggest any other videos I should react to, make sure to suggest that in the comments down below. And again, I have an Instagram that you guys can follow, which is somewhere around here, and I hope you guys will follow me and check out my post and story. With no time to waste, let's get straight into the video, shall we?
Ugh, lame. Boring. Been there, done that one. Guys, huddle up. Y'all here? It's kind of hard to count you all. At this point, there's more of you than there are Pokemon species.
That is so true. It really is surprising on how Scott was able to make these many characters by just milking the franchise. Most of these characters aren't even part of the lore.
Y'all have a big problem on your hands. You all are yesterday's news. People know about you. They survived you. They remember you. Well, except for you, Egg Baby. Long story short, guys, people know what to expect of you. To be scary, you need to be unexpected, new, unpredictable. And that's why, gentle bears and lady chicks, I introduce you to the new breed.
What? Oh, it's the fandom animatronics.
Guys.
Oh, so we're talking about fandoms. Interesting.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show where my waistline is extending faster than the FNAF universe. When it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's, I've made no small deal about how huge this franchise has gotten. I mean, if you're looking to keep up with all the lore, this year, 2020 alone is home to not one, but 5 new book releases. As if
I seriously need to get my hands on one of those books. I think it might be interesting to read or something because I'm a while.
An announcement that, to me, isn't just important to this franchise, but is important for all of gaming. Between all my jokes about how much I hate the franchise and how complex the lore has gotten, I've always said that the way Scott has crafted these games and how he's managed to run his community is perhaps the smartest, most modern way of making a video game. From the very first Five Nights game, he understood that the current age of gaming is all about sharing your experiences, that no 2 playthroughs should ever be alike, that obscure screens, jump scares, glitches, minigames, all of it should appear randomly and with very small probabilities so that people can go online and ask their friends, wait, did you see that? Was this a real thing? From the first appearance of Golden Freddy in the newspaper clippings in FNAF 1, all the way up to help wanted surprise Easter eggs of coffee from his early game, The Desolate.
Oh my god.
These sorts of things form the lifeblood of this franchise. That is what gets people talking about your game, and sharing your game, and sharing videos of your game. And yet, it's a game design feature that shockingly modern developers just don't seem to do. But all of that's happening on the micro scale. Today we're zooming out to talk about the big big picture. Another move that Scott's made that completely bucks the trend of modern game development and truly embraces what it means to lead a successful franchise in 2020 and beyond, an age of creators and accessible game-making tools. I'm speaking, of course, about the FAZBEAR FANVERSE initiative, something Scott announced back in August of this year. In case you haven't heard about this thing, here's a quote from the Reddit
I did not
post.
know about
There have
this.
been some great fan-made spin-off universes created in this community, and I want to
That
see
is
them
so
keep
true.
going. That's why I've put some of my own.
So to talk about like the fan games, like Pop Goes the Weasel or Five Nights at Candy's, I really am amazed about in these games. And to be honest, and these have to be like one of my favorite fan games I have ever seen. And to be honest, even though these games are fan games, like, you know, they're not actually part of the real lore that Scott Content made. To be honest, these games really are like more impressive, like I don't know how to describe it, but like more like advanced, like more, I don't know, more detailed in their game, more detailed than Scott's past games, like FNAF 3 or FNAF 4 or anything like that. And I really do gotta compliment these guys for their hard work and how much detail they put into these games. So congratulations on that. So congrats on you guys. Another true statement is, to be honest, has any of us really been that scared of like these jump scares? Don't get me wrong. I'm sure someone like probably would have been scared, but probably someone from like 2014, like when the game started, and we didn't expect like this to be scary or like anything like that. But after a while, it really, and the whole jump scare thing has really been predictable for these guys. I mean, we become a night guard or a guy trying to survive on Chuck E. Cheese ripoff animatronics. We survive. We try to, not get jump scared, and they just attack us with very loud noises. It's rinse and repeats in the FNAF trend. Not that there is anything wrong with that. It's just it can be really predictable, and I'm really hoping that, man, maybe in like Security Breach, it could be really something else. I'm not saying like getting rid of the jump scares, but like, I don't know, make the characters or the animatronics a lot more unexpected, which I really am hoping for, because I actually seen a few clips of the animatronics doing some really interesting stuff. So I'm really hoping. Let's see how the game goes, and well, let me shut my mouth. Also, I want to apologize, guys, for Also, guys, I want to apologize for, not being in the mood right now. I'm actually recording this at a very late time, and right now I'm just trying to get this video ahead and just, move on to the next video, So, apologize if I may be, like, less active than usual.
Of new games in those game series. However, I'm going to stay out of the development side of things so that these creators can do their thing. They're going to develop these games and interact with the fan base just as they would have normally. And when the games are done, they'll be released on Game Jolt for free, just like normal. The difference now is that they'll also be bundled up with other games and sold on most major consoles and mobile as well. At least that's the plan. Did I mention there may be some toys and other merchandise of these fan games too? It's a project that's designed to invest in those franchises, give back to the developers, and hopefully bring new entries to those franchises as well. So the TLDR version of this, Scott's pulling a reverse Nintendo. He's embracing and extending fan games. He's investing in them, helping them with distribution, and heck, maybe even merch. The first wave of this initiative involves 5 titles. Five Nights at Candy's 4, which, is just FNAF, but with cats. Pop Goes Evergreen, which is, FNAF with rodents. One Night at Flumpty's, which is FNAF with eggs. The Joy of Creation, which is is FNAF, but on fire, and FNAF Plus, which is, well, it's just FNAF Plus. That is obviously a big simplification of all these games just for the joke, but you get the point here. They're all spin-off games with the basis of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, all of this sounds well and good, right?
I think those games might be like the top games, top fan games, probably.
And extend existing fan works. And those are words with warm and fuzzy vibes, but they're also words that have, well, they have themselves a history that's a lot less warm and fuzzy than you might think, thanks to a third E that's less mentioned, extinguish. That might sound harsh and seem like it's coming out of nowhere, so let me explain what I mean with all this. I think it's necessary to talk about another company that publicly took the embrace and extend approach and what it meant for the evolution of an industry and how Scott is taking a similar approach but turning it on its head. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a lesson on everyone's favorite game theory topic, antitrust law. Antitrust law seems to be a hot topic these days, with Facebook robot Mark Zuckerberg and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey getting grilled in front of Congress this year not just once, but twice. While it might be a trending topic in 2020, big tech companies getting taken to task for monopolistic and anti-competitive business practices is nothing new. Back in the 90s, before companies like Google and Twitter and Facebook were but a twinkle in some source code's eye, the tech giant that everyone had their sights on was Microsoft. And mind you, this was almost a decade before anyone had even heard of an Xbox. This is back in the days of Internet Explorer, who, let me tell you, was facing some fierce competition from the likes of Chrome? Firefox? Heck no, this is the 90s, baby. Their competition looked a lot more like Net.
You should chase Escarole.
There's something on your shirt.
Holla! Nobody, sigue, caramba!
The Heights, rated PG-13, in theaters and on HBO Max, June 11th.
Netscape Navigator and Mosaic, and Microsoft resorted to
I have no idea what those
and as it turns out, not so legal
I have no idea what those websites are, but then again, I wasn't born in the 90s.
Microsoft was public about their strategy of embrace and extend. The basic idea is that you start by finding something that someone else has made, like a technology standard, a protocol, or a tool of some kind, and say, cool, we're gonna embrace it and start using it ourselves. And then you extend upon it by saying, well, this thing that someone else made is cool and all, but we're gonna make it even bigger and better. We're gonna build our own proprietary technology on top of it, and people can begin using our version of that old standard. Steve Ballmer, who at the time was the executive vice president of Microsoft and went on to be president and later CEO, described it in an interview with the New York Times. Quote, new products and services should simply be extensions of the old. Whether it's me or the guy who replaces me because we don't do well, we'll keep coming, and we will do well. Yeah, I'd say you did pretty well for yourself, Microsoft, and largely because of this embrace and extend motto. Heck, according to one article I read, a Microsoft employee even wrote a song titled The Battle Hymn of the Reorg that ended with that exact phrase.
Oh my
God. The song goes a little something like this. Oh, our eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the net. We are ramping up our market share. Objectives will be met. Soon our browser will be everywhere. You ain't seen nothing yet. We embrace and we extend. Man,
is this song Ireland or something? I don't know.
On its face, the policy of embracing and extending tools and protocols made by other people seems generous, right? You're adding to what's already there. But what this hides is the fact that once you take an existing standard and extend it with your own proprietary technology, you own the part that you're adding.
Beyond
and
the mask.
not only that, you're replacing the original public open standard with your own version that you alone have control over, effectively taking ownership over a standard that someone else created. And when Microsoft talked publicly about the first two E's, there was a hidden third E that they didn't like to mention in public. Extinguish. Because once you've extended the old standard with your own proprietary additions, having effectively hijacked something that someone else had made, you now have control that you can use to extinguish the competition. By the way, that third E, extinguish, isn't just speculation on the part of Microsoft haters. Though Microsoft never talked about it publicly for obvious reasons, an investigation by the US Department of Justice found that the motto extend, embrace, extinguish was used in Microsoft internal communications. And considering that the entire court case centered around the fact that Microsoft was allegedly using anti-competitive practices to bar other companies from competing with them, the fact that they were literally trying to extinguish the competition didn't work all that well in their favor. Pro tip, if you have a business strategy that's evil and illegal, try not to use words that make it sound evil and illegal. And then don't use it in company emails, you doof? The Microsoft example is a bit technical, but it's easy to see examples of a similar strategy used in the entertainment world if you look at Disney. Rather than creating their own original stories, they began by embracing folk tales and classic stories in the public domain, like Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, and The Little Mermaid. No problems there. They were open and available for anyone to use. Then, they extended these classic fairy tales by creating their own animated versions of these stories with their own spins on them. But then, they effectively extinguished competition by replacing the original work with their own. And when it comes to protecting their own characters and copyright, Disney is fiercely controlling. Unlike Microsoft, Disney has managed to do this without breaking any laws. Technically speaking, they just lobby to change the copyright laws. Mickey Mouse is a 92-year-old
it seems like they have the money to
point,
pretty much do anything at this
be in
point.
The public domain by now, except for the fact that the laws seem to mysteriously change every time his copyright is set to expire. Strange coincidence, huh? Couldn't possibly have anything to do with the millions of dollars that Disney's spending
maybe that's
to
the
lobby
reason
Congress
why,
every time it
like,
happens, could it? Nah. There is some serious
maybe
irony
this is the
in
reason
fact
why
that
the
Disney has
live
worked
action
so
movies
hard to prevent
exist.
their characters from entering the public domain, despite the fact that they began as a company by creating their own versions of classic public domain stories. And in many cases, Disney's versions of
So in
these
other words,
stories
they
effectively
basically
replaced
stole
the
like
originals
the
in
books.
public consciousness,
So basically,
which,
they
I gotta
stole
say,
people's
is a
ideas
shame
in some
considering
way
I
and
personally
just
want to
like
re-experience
not
the original
extend
Little
it on
Mermaid's
their
ending, where
behalf.
she's given a dagger and has to choose to murder the prince or herself, and the Red Sea at sunset is actually the result of her blood pouring out into the water. Yep, that is the original story. Can't imagine why people would prefer the Disney version. Anyway, it's not all that surprising that you go to the books section of Amazon and search for classic fairy tales like Cinderella. The first thing that pops up is a Disney coloring book. Disney's worked really hard to make sure that their version of the story is the only version of the story that matters. So is Scott Cawthon guilty of doing the same thing here? Funding fan projects might seem like a generous gesture, but is this really part of his plan for world domination? Well, the short answer here is no. In fact, while his strategy might at first appear to have some superficial similarities with the behavior of Microsoft in the 90s, you can actually argue that he's doing the exact opposite of the business practices that we see from companies like Microsoft and Disney. And
maybe that's the reason why,
for instance,
the live action movie
exists,
extend and embrace
products that
just
other
like
people
what they did to the original
worked by
animated series and then the
books
books,
from the public domain. They were effectively targeting things that other people had created. But here, Scott is honing in on what's effectively his territory to begin with. Scott's own work is the foundation on which these fan creations were made. They exist with his blessing. This is something that we talked about in our FNAF fan art video from last year, but the long and short of it is that while Scott doesn't have the rights to publish work created by fans without their permission, fans don't have the rights to publish work based on his characters without his permission. All the fan creators are working with Scott's blessing, but ultimately, it's his characters and intellectual property to do with as he pleases. He's not capturing someone else's folklore and planting his flag in it to claim ownership over it. His flag was already there to begin with. And what's more, he's doing this with the full consent of the fan creators, which brings us to the second E, extend. Rather than trying to extend these fan works for himself in a way that would allow him to claim creative ownership over them the way that Microsoft did, he's leaving the power in the hands of the fan creators and letting them be the ones to extend their own fan lore. And lastly, the third E, extinguish. Once again, it feels like Scott's doing the opposite of the original EEE strategy. Rather than trying to quash other creators so that the only thing left in the space is his original FNAF games, the entire point of this initiative is to include and promote other creators who can offer their fan games as an alternative. Not satisfied with only 7 official FNAF games? Here, check out what other people have made. And now, you can check them out on more platforms since they're coming to consoles and smartphones, and Scott Cawthon has given them the development resources to make it happen. So yeah, I think that far from being an example of a monopolistic business trying to control everything, this is an example of the opposite. Rather than being overprotective with his IP and issuing a cease and desist to anyone who tries to create their own fan game or spin on his creation, Scott is doing the opposite. He's giving the fan community's biggest developers even more resources, all while letting them have control over their own products. If all of this is starting to sound like one big puff piece and you're feeling ripped off that you got this far into a video without any tea being spilled, sorry, the drama you're looking for is in another castle. Because this, to me, feels like the future of the games industry. In the internet age, this age of social media, we are a culture of remixers. We meme, we take other people's creativity, we build upon it. We embrace the world that they've created to make our own original works via fan art, via fan fiction. And that is something that should be welcomed, embraced. If your product is important enough in someone's life that they want to develop their own version of it, they want to show their own fandom by doing their own video, game, whatever,
others of their own creation.
You hire them, you bless their work, you be a mentor to them, whatever it is. I can't help but think about Sonic Mania, which was created by a team known for their work in the Sonic fan game and ROM hack communities, and Sega gave them the keys to the kingdom to produce what's probably the best canonical Sonic game in recent history. Now contrast Scott and Sega's behavior with Nintendo, banning Twitch live streams for games that were paid for and played on release day, shutting down fan games because they were worried about it competing with their own products, shutting down tournaments run by people that are still really passionate about a multiplayer game that was originally released back in 2001. Sorry to pick on you, Nintendo, but I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't think it was deserved. These are bad moves. When games like Pokemon Uranium or another Metroid 2 remake come out, you just kill them. You stomp on them. What could be and are in many cases fully fleshed out games made by creators who spent years putting them together out of a love for your
I got no
work.
words to say.
I
really am. Surprisingly.
Congratulations, you protected your IP, but you killed the love of your community in the process. And from a purely financial standpoint, heck, you could have just embraced those projects. Could have hired those people on, you polish them up a little bit, you had two quick and easy money makers. If you're thinking about it from just the pure cold-hearted dollars and cents, that is money you left on the table.
Did it this
period.
time.
I'm sorry, times have changed, and the industry needs to change with them.
The fandom really is like growing in its community, and I really am like impressed with Scott that he was able to keep these guys a chance of building their own success.
Maybe we can get just a little bit more of
that is very generous, to be honest.
FNAF is a huge example of a game that isn't just a game. It's a community of fans that pour tremendous amounts of love and effort into making their own content. Whether it's the Let's Play videos that first brought the game onto the scene during its early days, or the people that have gone the extra mile and been inspired to create their own fan games. The FAZBEAR FANVERSE initiative is a great example of what can happen when fans love a game franchise, and the franchise is willing to love them back. I just wish more people were paying attention. But hey,
that's just a theory. A game theory.
Thanks for watching.
Alright guys, that was it for the video, and wow, that was a mind blower. I really am surprised that Scott Cawthon actually paid attention to the fan games. Not saying that he doesn't pay attention to his fans, but more or less he embraced it. Instead of him just letting him let it lay out, he decided to establish it more, or give these guys more. And give these guys resources or more of a chance to make their own success because of his property. What I'm saying is that he doesn't claim those games as his own, rather than just extinguish like the rest of the companies. I'm looking at you, Disney. He let these fan creators and. He gave these fan creators a bigger spotlight, and because of that, he was able to, possibly, make more of a franchise or make more of a bigger name, in more of a bigger name than it is already. And honestly, I really am impressed with Scott even more, and I really am just wow. I really am I really gotta get my hat to you, or tip my hat to you, Scott, for for doing this much for your fans, and how much you're able to give time to yourself and and people who embraced your work, and you decided to embrace them back. I wonder if maybe someday more more fandom game creators might invest into also like invest to also get like a bigger spotlight in the fandoms, you know, like Pokemon fans and them making like fan-based games or something like that, or Mario games that are fan Mario games. Whatever the case may be, what I'm saying to you, Scott, that I'm glad you didn't didn't do the extinguish card and decide to embrace and extend it more rather than just, be like other companies. Companies who decide to shut down these things all because of stupidity reasons and whatever the case may be, I really am impressed, Scott. Whatever the case may be, I'm glad you didn't pull an extinguish card on these games, and I hope these guys, get more of a bigger spotlight than they already have, and years to more to FNAF, I guess. With that. With all this out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. And again, follow me on my Instagram. And with that, I'll see you guys later.